Welcome to another edition of Our City. Just a couple of things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Tuesday, February 5th at about 10 o'clock in the morning, the National Pancake Day celebration is going to occur at the IHOP, and I will be celebrating that day at the IHOP across from Jersey Gardens Mall. And this event will raise money for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals and other local charities. One of the Children's Miracle Network hospital is the Children's Hospital in Mountainside, which does a great job for many of our children. The more information, you can call www.ihopandcakeday.com or call 353-7600 for more information. Or you can call our public information office for any other information at 908-820-4124. And I'm pleased to be joined on this show this week by the Reverend Robert Higgs, who is the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church right across the street on Broad Street next to the courthouse. Reverend Higgs, welcome to the show. You've been here before. We welcome you back. Mr. Gordon Haas, who is the executive director of the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce. Gordon, welcome. And Mr. Douglas Hutton from the Star-Ledger in the city of Newark, the only statewide newspaper. Douglas, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Now, first of all, why don't we tell our viewers a little bit about yourself first, and then we're going to get into that Bible, Reverend Higgs. Tell us, so you're the pastor of the oldest church in Elizabeth? Or one of them?
No, the First Presbyterian Church is the oldest English-speaking congregation in the state of New Jersey. Its founding in 1664 coincides with the founding of the city of Elizabeth and the state of New Jersey. And we are helping to organize events for celebrating the 350th anniversary of the city and the state. And Gordon and Doug are very much part of the...
Just one question, was I know it's not the original church because the church was burned by the British, but is that the original site of the First Presbyterian Church? It is.
It certainly is. The first settlers called the Elizabethtown Associates came over and they built a meeting house where the present church is. That meeting house was probably about a quarter of the size of the current building, but it did everything. People not only worshiped there, that's where the governor worked out, that's where the first deeds of land came from. And they finally tore it down in about 1720 to make room for a second church building. And that lasted until 1780 when the British burned that one down during the Revolution. And then the current building that you see was built in 1790.
Oh, okay. And the steeple is new because we lost it in a hurricane in the 40s, right?
We lost it in a fire in the 40s.
Fire in the 40s,
in 1946, right. That building caught on fire, but the walls remained. The walls were strong enough, and they rebuilt the church, but they ran out of money for the steeple when they rebuilt, and then in 2008, some fundraising was done, and the new steeple was built and dedicated in 2008.
And Gordon, you're the executive director of the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back. You've been here before.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me back.
And Douglas, Star-Ledger, you're new to the show, but not new to the Star-Ledger. And what kind of role are you playing here on the 350th anniversary?
Well, actually, I'm the marketing manager over at the Star-Ledger, but our role is really just to make sure that we're getting the word out about Elizabethtown 350. We're acting as a partner with the Elizabeth 350 Commission, putting out newsletters, e-newsletters, some promotional materials, and running some of the contests that we'll be talking about later.
Now, as you three gentlemen know, 2014, and as you just said, we were formed in 1664, being the first capital of the state of New Jersey, and we're going to celebrate 350 years. It's a big deal. And Reverend Higgs, you're the one that probably started kicking it off, and you're the one that's kind of brought a lot of the partners in. So how's it going?
Well, we are very happy with the progress that we've made, both here in the city and on the state level. Here in the city, we've gathered people from a number of organizations, including Liberty Hall and
which used to be in Elizabeth.
Which used to be in Elizabeth.
Now it's in Union.
Yes, everything was in Elizabeth at one point in time. And we are going ahead with plans to not only help our residents learn and celebrate our history and get school children involved in learning about our history, and also organize community groups. So you're going to be seeing over the next 2 years a lot of events with the 350 logo and brand associated with them to remind people that we are where New Jersey started.
Now, Gordon and Doug, you were part of the committee, I guess, to come up with a logo for 350. Gordon, the Chamber of Commerce, was kind of spearheading it with some members with Phyllis Wrights in my department. How did that go?
There were a group of us from the committee that got together. With the help of the Star Ledger, we advertised the fact that we were having a contest. We have some of the flyers. The Ledger was kind enough, as part of the media sponsorship for the event, to put ads in the paper throughout the state, advertising, looking for people to submit logos. It was divided into grades 1 through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and college level. We received over 160 entrants into the contest. The committee then met, dividing it up by the grade levels, selecting 5 top entrants for each level, and then we voted as a group to pick one from each level. We have the winners of those individual levels here, and then once that was established, we picked one winner. Each of the 4 categories, the winner received an iPod Touch as their prize, and the ultimate winner, the logo that was selected for the final, also received a $500 gift certificate to a local electronics store.
And Douglas, as a marketing manager for the Star Ledger, tell us about the role the Star Ledger played in getting the word out as a statewide newspaper. How did you manage all of that?
For the contest specifically, what we did is, as Gordon mentioned, we ran ads in the newspaper for them. But on top of that, we just worked with our existing partnerships. We have called News and Education that works with statewide with teachers and students. We had a database of around 6,000 people that we were sending emails out to, as well as posting it on that particular page. So this was very family-friendly, kid-friendly type of contest. So that was the best way to go.
So Gordon, why don't you share with us, hold him up, the camera's going to catch him, and talk about some of these.
Yeah, maybe the best way.
Yeah.
Doug, to hold him. James Adams, grade 1 through 5, was the winner of that category, and Doug is holding that poster. Abigail Glass.
I like the way they did the 350 with New Jersey, and they got a little indentation for Elizabeth up there.
Well, that's Elizabethtown. That's all of the area that Elizabethtown covered.
350 years ago.
350 years ago. That's why Union, what's now Union, was part of Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
This is the winner of the grade 6 to 8. It's Abigail Glass.
I like the way she put in some of the older pictures and did the 350 there.
The church and the county
Sewing
courthouse.
machine. She got Singer sewing machine in
Singer
there.
sewing machine. This is the college level winner. This is
Goche
Urekli. And this was one of the choices, very modern looking. And this was our ultimate winner of the entire contest. This is Asher Horowitz, grades 9 through 12, the grand prize winner. Very stylized with a quill pen and what looks like a Declaration of Independence. And again, in the 350, the logo, the state of New Jersey, is in the 0. So we're going to be modifying it slightly to make it more compatible with where we're going. But this is the ultimate winner of the contest.
So that'll be on the letterhead and
letterhead, any advertising, anything we do. It'll be on the e-newsletter starting next month. The announcement of the winner will be in the March issue of the e-newsletter officially. The winners have been notified. I can speak to that.
Yeah, we have some exciting parents that were out there. Obviously, kid contest, we had to make sure that the parents, and kids had to work with their parents and electronically sign when they were submitting. But we reached out and we had a lot of exciting parents, or a lot of excited parents.
They were all well done.
Yeah, they very much are. So
I guess any one of them could have finished in first place, really.
Right. The committee each voted individually on certain criteria by categorizing with numbers, and then the Ledger, Doug moderated it, so took all our ballots and did the modification and came back into
Reverend Higgs, you're a transplant here. You were not born or raised here, but you were assigned here, and it's a blessing for the city of Elizabeth that a guy of your talent was assigned here. But as a transplant, somebody who didn't grow up here, what are some of the things from your point of view that make our city so important in the history of New Jersey and the nation?
Well, this place is so important in our city and in our state history and our national history because not only did it start attracting people into the Middle Atlantic area, we were settled before Pennsylvania, we were settled really bringing people over from England and Scotland and Ireland is where really began. And then we served as a center for the Revolutionary War. Elizabeth was really ground zero. George Washington himself wrote that no place in America was more devastated by the Revolution than Elizabeth was, because we were right across from Staten Island. The British had a huge installation there. They raided the whole area regularly, and because Elizabeth stood firm, they were not able to penetrate and for New Jersey for a long time, enabling the revolution to survive until the French were able to come
Weren't we
along
the
and help us
spy
out.
capital of the world
Oh,
back then?
absolutely.
Both sides.
Absolutely. There's a number of interesting books written about the spies of those days, and they say sometimes that maybe Hannah Caldwell herself was a spy.
Well, her husband died tragically at the waterfront.
Both of them died.
Both of them died,
course.
right.
Hannah died at the Battle of Connecticut Farms, and then he died at the Yport visiting prisoners of war who were kept on ships
Shot in
at
the
that
back.
time. And he was shot in the back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back more. I want to talk about the Bible that you have and the planning and the marketing for the 350th anniversary and how it ties into the Super Bowl that's going to be here just about 10 miles away from us. So it's going to be an exciting time in 2014 in Elizabeth. So please stay with us. We'll be back after these messages with more on our city and the 350th anniversary of the city of Elizabeth.
When I grow up, I want to be a psychologist or a therapist.
I want to be a pediatrician.
I was hoping to become a chef someday.
I want to own a big house with the convertible and the jacuzzi and the pool, all the good stuff. Role models, they don't tell you what to do, but they help you to go where you're going. I want to study law. I don't want to become a lawyer. I want to become a CIA agent.
Young people, I think, do need a mentor because, we don't know everything. And, all the people, they've experienced stuff that we haven't.
I would like to be a baseball player. As long as there's somebody behind you, pushing you and supporting you, then you feel that you always have the strength to keep going.
Well, I would like to become like a doctor. That's my first choice.
Sometimes you feel down and you feel like no one really understands and no one knows like where you're coming from. And it's great to see someone who's been where you are now and making it.
So get involved and do your part. Invest in the future. Mentor a child.
I worry about my boyfriend. One minute he's supportive, the next minute everything is my fault. After he's had too many beers, he gets really angry and I become the target. My best friend, a social worker, told me to try Al-Anon family groups. It was a great relief to hear a new perspective for my problems. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group meeting from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit alanonfamilygroups.org.
What if you could ignite your child's love of learning with one after-school program? What if that one program was easy and fun? Destination Imagination is the one. Destination Imagination has taught teamwork, creativity, and problem solving for more than 25 years. A major university study showed our students are ahead of others in creativity and critical thinking. Learn more at startateam.org and make Destination Imagination the one for you.
I remember the moment clearly.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
I realized at that moment, when we first saw the damage, these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference, right here in my community. Together with local responders, we cleared trees and collapsed walls. We had to get to the family trap beneath. As a citizen soldier, I made a difference.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Savings Man here with a story for you about two young spenders named Tommy and Sue. Their parents let them buy whatever they chose, like video games and designer clothes. As they grew older, they spent all their pay on fancy cars, houses, 2 lattes a day. They lived in the moment, never saving a dime. When they tried to retire, they'd run out of time. Working forever is Tom and Sue's fate, so choose to save now before it's too late. Visit our website to find out more, cause a happy ending's worth saving for.
Okay. Welcome back to our city, where I'm pleased to be joined by members of the 350 committee celebrating our 350th birthday in 2014. And Gordon, as the executive director of the Great Elizabeth Chamber, you're doing an e-newsletter with the help of the Star Ledger.
That's
Maybe
right.
you can talk about how some of those things are going on.
As one of the aspects of the 350th anniversary is we've developed an e-newsletter focusing on events taking place in the city of Elizabeth. And the object of the game is to get people to sign up for the e-newsletter to find out what's going on here. And we've run contests. We're going to run a monthly contest so that when you sign up for the first time, you can enter that contest and win a prize. I think the prize this past in January was a $100 gift certificate to the Outlet Center at Jersey Gardens, and we'll be doing different things every month. There are 3 underwriting corporate sponsors that we've put together: Union County College, Trinitas Regional Medical Center, and Investors Bank, and they're helping fund the process of the e-newsletter and a lot of the marketing that's going to come down the pike. The Star Ledger is going to be working with us. Let Doug explain how that process works, but the Chamber uses the Star Ledger as they're a media sponsor of the Chamber. They sponsor every one of the events that the Chamber does, and they're a great partner. We've done a lot of things with them. The Go Elizabeth newsletter that existed, and various things, so that we've had a great relationship with them. We're continuing it with the 350th anniversary.
Doug, tell us about, that's a good lead into how the Star Ledger is playing a role here, not only in the e-newsletter, but also what are you going to do in the future for the 350th anniversary?
Well, that's not for us to say. I mean, we look to the steering committee for how to do the promotions and stuff. We offer suggestions, but our role is really to kind of bring everything together. We want to bring the community together. We're reaching out to area business partnerships, community groups, foundations, organizations. We're asking them to kind of work with us, let us know what's going on in the city of Elizabeth so that we can incorporate it. And as Gordon said, these are monthly newsletters, so it's basically a calendar of events that's coming up. So that's what we're doing. We're just orchestrating that, and then we're growing our list. We're distributing it through our partners, and we're building lists that way.
Hopefully by the 350th anniversary, we'll have a list of several thousand names, and then we can advertise what's happening during the anniversary celebration, the year-long celebration.
And Reverend Higgs, we're wearing these gloves for a purpose, not because we're all sick, which we are, but we're also wearing this. You have in front of you a Bible that is somewhat about 500 years old, you told me.
413 years old. This is a Geneva Bible, which is the Bible used before the King James. This is the first English translation of the Scriptures, and it was published in the year 1599 in London. Wow. And it was brought over by John Ogden. John Ogden was one of the 4 founders of Elizabethtown, and he brought this with him when he moved down from Connecticut to start Elizabethtown in 1664. And the Bible was missing for many years, but was recently discovered in Washington State, of all places.
Washington State?
Washington State. Somehow it made it out to Washington State, where it was in the care of a rare book dealer, and one of the descendants of the Ogden family traced it there and got in touch with us asking if we would like the Ogden Bible returned home. And of course we said yes, and it arrived about 2-3 weeks ago and will be part of the display.
Was it being sold on eBay or something?
It could have been. The rare book dealer had it available, and just through providence we ended up with it, and were able to bring it back home.
So any idea how a Bible from Elizabeth, New Jersey winds up in the state of Washington? And after?
Well, the Ogden family, as you know, is huge. and the Ogden, the Bible is covered with inscriptions of the Ogden family and births and deaths and everything like that. So it was passed down, and maybe it got in the hands of one member of the family who didn't recognize really what they had, and they just sold it or let it go, and worked its way across.
So where is this Bible going to be housed permanently in the future? Because obviously it's a treasure.
Yeah, the First Presbyterian Church is also remodeling the Academy building on the campus, and in that building is going to be a museum dedicated to the history of Elizabeth and our role in the Revolution. So this will have a display area all its own. But until that time, we're going to be keeping it at Liberty Hall, which has a brand new climate-controlled storage area to keep it safe. And in the meantime, we're also going to be contacting a book conservator to see how we can better take care of the book and maybe repair some of it so it can be opened up occasionally and appreciated.
Gordon, we got to give the Jewish faith equal time here, and you come from a history of people in this area, and we also had a Jewish mayor in the 1800s named David Narr,
right,
in the early 1800s. So the Jewish population goes back a long time in the city of Elizabeth as well.
Absolutely does, and there's always been a great cooperation between all the faiths here in town, and that continues. Our relationship with Reverend Higgs is an excellent one, and this Bible is absolutely amazing to see this Bible. We saw this a couple of weeks ago, and it really is a historic treasure, and we're happy that it's back in Elizabeth.
And Reverend Higgs, what else do we have planned for the 350th anniversary besides the contest that Gordon and Doug spoke about earlier with the naming of the logo? What's next?
Well, what's next is a process of education. Through the Education Committee, which is going to be chaired by Bill Schroe of Liberty Hall Museum, we really want to reach into the schools. We really want to bring kids up to date about where they live and how significant this area was and is, because so many of the kids really don't know very much about the history of our region. So that's one of our major purposes. Second thing is to bring the community together. So we're going to be all the community events that currently happen will have a 350th component to them, and we want to build on those, to bring community groups together, to get people talking who may not have talked to each other, and realize that because of our history, we are much greater than just the sum of our parts.
Now, Doug, you're the youngest guy here. What's it like to be discussing 350th anniversaries of anything? Were you a history buff in school? I know I know you like marketing, obviously, but does history play a role with you in any way, shape, or form, or is it strictly marketing?
No, you could actually ask Reverend about that. When he brought the book out, my eyes got quite large. Just a product of history buff from my father, who's very big into American Revolution and Civil War history. So I was actually, from that meeting, I was admittedly taking pictures and sending them off to him, saying, "You're missing out." So
your dad would appreciate this.
Yes,
this
very,
historical.
very
value.
much so. We're getting him down here for a view of this.
You are. You got to get him to Liberty Hall for some of the historical stuff that's over there.
The advantage of this city is all the history that the Reverend talks about. We still have the original governor's mansion. We still have Boxwood Hall. We still have buildings that date back to the Revolutionary War. And the history, this is a city that's always maintained its history and hasn't forgotten its history. And as you mentioned earlier, Liberty Hall, which was part of Elizabethtown, is a treasure trove of history dating back from 1770 till.
Well, one of the things that Doug has the good fortune of getting his father here to see it, his father can actually walk down the railing at Liberty Hall, and the marks from the British swords are still in the railing from when they attempted to get the Governor Livingston, who obviously fled the area at the time, when Governor Livingston is actually a ascendant of the Kane family. The Kanes have descended from that family. So the interesting thing of our history is phenomenal. And Reverend Higgs, one of the things that you have there is a cemetery. Talking about the deceased is always difficult, but you have names there that really date the city of Elizabeth. The founding fathers of our city.
Yes, basically our cemetery has been called the most historic cemetery in the state of New Jersey. And if you walk around, you will see the names on the headstones that are on our streets, on our schools, and you can get a whole history lesson of the city and New Jersey just by walking around the area.
It's an interesting history lesson on its own right there.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that we were damaged by Hurricane Sandy. And a Presbyterian church from
You weren't as damaged as that time that crane fell on the cemetery, though, right?
Actually, more.
Oh, more. Okay.
More, yes. Actually, 35 headstones were damaged.
In this storm?
In this storm. But what is interesting is that we received a check from a Presbyterian church in Dayton, Ohio, to help us out. And they weren't aware of it, but Jonathan Dayton comes from Elizabeth. Correct. He was a Revolutionary War general. His family vault is on the grounds, and so we let the Dayton church know that we've come full circle, and that their people have helped out where they came from in helping us rebuild.
Is Jonathan Dayton the signer that's buried under the church across the street?
Across the street, yes.
Yeah, I know it's your competition, but I just. But Jonathan Dayton, for our viewers, is actually buried under the church across the street from you.
But many of the Dayton family are buried at the First Church Cemetery. But the Daytons...
They'd appreciate this competition even 300 years later, Reverend Higgs. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the show this evening. I truly appreciate you taking the time and all of the work that you're doing for the 350th anniversary, from the Star Ledger, Doug, and your efforts in marketing and publicizing, Gordon to the Chamber of Commerce, and Reverend Higgs for really taking the bull by the horn, so to say, in the very beginning and getting this going. We appreciate it. Thank you. For Reverend Robert Higgs, Gordon Haas, and Douglas Hutton, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.